That's our base equation. So the SLE is the single loss expectancy. So that's how much productivity or profit we're going to lose if this thing happens one time. So if Cody's laptop gets dropped out of a window and destroyed one time, what is the cost of that? Okay, so in order to know that, we have to know the AV, which is the asset value. And we also need to know the EF, which is the exposure factor. So the exposure factor is how much of the asset is lost or damaged because of the threat that happened. So let's talk about an example of this to make it make more sense. Let's say I run a web store, and my web store sells shoes, and I sell them Monday through Friday. So I have 5 days that the website is operational. And each week, my website makes $100. So my asset value is 100, right? Because in my week of work, my website is worth $100 to me. That's how much I'm making. And let's say somebody decides to do a denial of service attack. A denial of service attack is one where they put a bunch of requests into the website, or they do something that causes my website to go down so that my users can't use it. And let's say every time they do that, it takes me 1 full day to get back to normal. So I lose 1 day. Well, 1 day out of the 5 days that I'm open is 20%, right? 1 out of 5. So that's 0.2, because 20% is 0.2, right? We know that from math. So now we know my single loss expectancy. It's 20, because 0.2 times 100 is 20. So every time my website suffers a denial of service attack, I lose $20. All right, so we can't stop there, though. In order to really make a good risk decision, we need to know the ALE. And the ALE, let's make another thing here, equals the SLE times the ARO. I know it's a lot of letters, don't worry. As soon as you start working with these equations, you learn what the abbreviations are. I know it's a lot at first, but don't let that intimidate you. So the ALE is the annualized loss expectancy. Annualized. So that's how much are we going to lose to this threat in a given year. Annualized. So we already know the single loss expectancy because that's what we worked out over there on the left. The ARO is the annual rate of occurrence. How many times is this going to happen in a year? Annualized. So let's say that Cody's website that sells shoes 5 days a week and makes $100. Let's say that I'm going to suffer denial of service attack 10 times a year because I've run the website for 2 years and I know every year it happens 10 times. Well, I know my ALE is going to have to be equal to my single loss expectancy, which is $20, times my annual rate of occurrence, which I just said is 10 times a year. So my annualized loss expectancy is $200. I'm going to lose $200 a year by denial of service attacks. This is a quantitative risk assessment. Now, why do I need to know this? Well, first, it helps me understand which of my risks are the highest. I don't want to spend all of my time trying to fix a risk that's only going to cause me to lose $200 when there might be another risk out there that's going to cause me to lose $1,000. I might prioritize the $1,000 more readily. It's also important to know this when we talk about security controls. So we just said through this example that Cody's going to lose $200 a year from denial of service attacks on his store. Well, if a vendor comes to me and says that he'll be able to prevent all my denial of service attacks, but he wants $500 for his product, well, that might not be worth it to me because I'm only going to lose $200. The control is more expensive. So I might not do that. I need to determine if that's a good return on investment.